Greetings. Everybody I ask seems to have a creepy story from their childhood, so I thought it would be interesting to start this tag. I'm going to tell a true story of something scary that happened to me as a child. Then I'm going to tag 3 other YouTubers in the video. They then have to make a video sharing a true scary story from their own childhood and tag 3 more people in it. Let's see how far this can get. My own story took place about 23 years ago. I must have been about 10 years old, maybe even younger. Me and my family would regularly go on a caravanning holiday at different places around the country. There was a big group of us, my parents and their friends, and all of their friends' kids. There was one campsite that we used to go to that all the kids really loved. It had a big swimming pool, playground, and even an amusements arcade on the grounds, so us kids would run riot all over the place, while the adults usually stayed back at the caravans. One day, me and another boy were bored and decided to explore the site. We found a small pathway leading into some woods at the back of the grounds. We decided to go into the woods to check it out. It was a pleasant forested area with a stream running alongside the path. I remember we played in the stream for a short while, then decided to return to the caravans to get some food. When we got back, our parents were going mad. They came running up to us, demanding to know where we had been for all this time. Apparently we had been gone for hours and hours. They had been all over the campsite searching for us and were really worried. At the time, me and the other boy were really confused. We argued with our parents that we had only been away a short while. There was no way that we had been gone for hours, but the way people were reacting made me realise that they weren't just exaggerating. We really had been in the woods for hours and hours. We just had no memory of what we had been doing for all that time. A couple of days later, I returned to the woods. This time I was alone. Thinking back, this seems completely out of character for me. I was quite a timid kid, not the sort to go off alone into a place like that when nobody knew where I was. I guess I felt oddly drawn to the area. I walked up the same path that we had gone up a few days earlier, but this time I decided to see how far the path went. I got as far as the place where we had been playing in the stream and just kept walking. After a while, a strange feeling came over me. It's hard to explain it properly. I can only describe it as if a fey atmosphere came over the woods. It was as if hundreds of tiny eyes were watching me from the sides of the path. The air itself felt tense and cloying, like there was a heavy magical energy in the area. I started to get a bit creeped out at this point. I kept on walking, but I remember looking all around me, especially towards the stream. I was half expecting to see some sort of little goblin peering out at me or something. The feeling got stronger and stronger the deeper into the woods I walked. I guess you could put this feeling down to an overactive imagination combined with being alone in the woods, but it was a creepy feeling nonetheless. Eventually I came to a spot where a tree had fallen across the path. It was a huge tree, and to get past it you would have to climb right over the trunk. I walked a bit closer, trying to see where best to climb over, and then I saw something. Peeping up over the top of the fallen tree were a pair of black dog's ears. They were sticking right up, like a dog who's been alerted to an interesting noise, and they were pointing in my direction. This alone might have been a freaky sight for a kid alone in the woods, but what made it absolutely terrifying was the tree itself. The height of the tree trunk lying on its side, combined with the size of the dog's ears. Whatever was on the other side of that tree must have been a giant. There was no way any normal dog could sit on the other side of that tree and have its ears show over the top like that. It was just way too high. I was frozen to the spot, stood completely still, afraid that any movement would alert the dog and send it chasing after me. The ears were completely motionless and alert, 2 black triangles poking up above the tree and pointing in my direction. I don't know how long I was stood there. It felt like an age, but after a while my nerves buckled and I turned and fled. I ran and ran, never looking back to see if I was being pursued. I made it out of the woods safe and sound, but I was highly shaken. I returned to the woods sometime after that. This time it was with a big group of people, including some of the adults, so I didn't feel afraid. They wanted to go for a walk and check out the woods. Of course I hadn't told anyone about what I'd seen that day. We passed the fallen tree. There was no sign of giant dog ears. There was no rock or platform on the other side that an animal might have sat on to make itself appear taller. Thinking back, I still can't find an explanation for what I saw. It was only years later, when reading old folklore stories, that I came across the legend of the black dog. This is a story that crops up repeatedly in folklore across the British Isles. The black dog is an unnaturally large phantom hound with huge glowing eyes. It is said to haunt crossroads and ancient pathways, and only appears to people travelling alone. In ancient times, it was considered a portent of death and was associated with the devil. Sightings of these creatures have been recorded throughout history and are still reported today. Maybe I had a very lucky escape that day. I still wonder what would have happened if I had kept going and saw what was on the other side of that tree. So that's my story. I'm sure other people have had much scarier experiences, so let's see what responses this gets. I'm going to tag the following 3 YouTubers: Scary Stuff, Scary Stuff, Scary Stuff, Ding, Killer Orange Cat, and Spiritual Vortex NE. I'll put a link in the description so you can go and subscribe to them and see when they respond to the tag. If you have any creepy stories from your childhood, feel free to share them in the comments below, or even make a video of your own.